This is Kevin McCain with Kevin McCain Studios, and today we're going to be talking about drawing and our basic drawing materials that I go over and we use in my basic drawing series, through my intermediate series and my advanced series. So let's go ahead and get started here. So with our drawing materials, some of these should look very familiar to you. We'll start on this side over here. We have just basically our erasers. We have our pink pearl eraser. This is just a rubber eraser. These are really great workhorses, especially for taking out large areas of value. Something just to be aware of pink pearl erasers is that they will rough up the surface of your paper. So if you're trying to keep a pristine drawing, may not be the eraser that you'd reach for at the very first. But if you're going to rough up your paper, or you don't mind so much the texture getting lost a little bit, pink pearl is a great erasing tool. Another one that people have seen around and some people don't recognize. This is just this is kind of an old standard workhorse. This is a basic gum rubber eraser, and what this does, this has little particles of rubber in it as well. It can erase large areas. It produces a lot of crumbles to take that material off your paper. Just like the pink pearl, it will rough up your paper. If that's not a big concern, this is like I said, a great workhorse, a great tool, an old standard. The only difference between this and the pink pearl is the pink pearl doesn't have any little bits of rubber in it. It's pretty soft, pretty even texture. Whereas this again has those little bits through it that kind of help really take stuff off. A lot of people use it on if they're using their transfer sheets, or if they're doing tracing paper. It's a really great eraser. If you're doing more detailed work, if you really care about keeping the texture of the paper, this is a small version, but this is just your white vinyls, or a white vinyl eraser. They can erase and not leave. They don't rough up the surface of your paper, and you can get back to really clean paper and not do much damage at all. So I use these a lot, especially if I'm erasing highlights, and again if I'm using them in a drawing where I need to really keep that pristine surface of the paper intact. I grab my vinyl eraser. This is our kneaded gum erasers. You've seen these. You can pull these apart and put them back together. You can make little rabbits out of them, whatever. But that's how you clean them, is you pull them apart. But the great thing about the kneaded erasers, you can create all kinds of different shapes to erase with, from a point to more of a broad sort of an edge. Or you can go ahead and round off the bottom of it to pounce it and lighten large areas very quickly. The best part about these is the way they pick up value. So you pounce these mostly. You might be using like edges or again little dots that you can pick up a little bit of highlights, lighten little areas. You can still stroke very lightly and do very light lines with them. They're really great tools. We have a little electric eraser. These are really great for taking out highlights. You can also draw with these. And the things that I try to tell my students is erasers aren't just correction tools, they're actually drawing tools. So there are times when you actually are drawing with your erasers just like you would any other tool. So we have our eraser category. Over here is our stomps, brushes, basically anything that we're going to do blending with. So they are our blending tools. These here that looks like little cigars are called stomps. They have kind of a cousin called a tortillion. The only difference is these are solid, tortillions are hollow. They come in varying sizes, and you use these, and you can see here where I've got some of the charcoal or graphite. You rub these and they will blend in your graphite or your charcoal. You can use anything to do that. You can also use brushes of varying sizes, again to soften and lighten and do all kinds of things with your media. You can also use cloth, cotton cloth, you can use silk, you can use satin, you can use corduroy, and all those different types of cloth will soften your material, and depending on how rough or how soft they are, they will soften it in a different way. These are all my graphite tools. For anyone who's seen art pencils, you'll notice that they always have B or H. Sometimes they have HB, and then you even see the just to muddy the waters, they throw in like an F. as well. But the way these work is if it says H, that means it's a harder pencil. The higher the number of H, whoops, let's see if you can see that. The higher the number, this is like a 4H. The higher the number H, the harder the pencil is, the lighter the mark. Your HB is your all-around pencil. It's like your number 2 pencil that you use. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that, but a wonderful HB is your workhorse. Then you have your B pencils, which are your softs. This is like a 6B, and again the higher the number of B, the higher the number. This is a 6. The softer the pencil is, the darker the mark. I wanted to throw in these here. These are just woodless graphite pencils. You can get a little wider mark. I can use, set this down on the slant and really cover so much more area, or I can use just a point. Sometimes you'll snap these in half and use them as solid round graphite sticks. This is a graphite stick, just graphite. It covers larger areas. You can get these in the same sort of grades. This is a medium, which is about like an HB, and then this is a hard, which is almost like a 2H, and then this is like a 6B. This is a wider, softer graphite. There's a couple different tips that you can put on your graphite. Of course, I could also carve into this if I wanted to make some funky mark. If I carve little teeth in here, but you have either just if you can see that there's a slight bevel on this, kind of at a 45-degree angle. That's you can put that on your pencil and it'll cover wider areas. You set it down on that 45 and you get more surface area. So you can, and it's called a chisel point. So you can either put a chisel point on your pencils like this, or you can, just sharpen them out. So either way works fine. It's just the chisel points will give you a softer mark, and you can cover more area more quickly. Now on the end here, we've got our wonderful charcoal. Now in charcoal, you have some different types of charcoal. We have charcoal pencils, we have compressed charcoal, and we have vine charcoal, and we even have white charcoal. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Your vine charcoal is basically, it looks like it's something you tore off a tree, and it is. It's basically either vine or willow tree branches that they've just made into charcoal. You can get really nice light marks with your vine charcoal. They're really great for doing your really light values. And so that's the wonderful thing about vine charcoal, is you can get really light passages. You can get them in different thicknesses with vine charcoal, and you can get them in different hardnesses. You can get them in hard, medium, and soft. And again, vine charcoal really gives you much lighter marks. So vine charcoal is really great for those light mark areas. I also have our compressed charcoal over here. This is where they've taken normal charcoal like the vine. They push it under hundreds of pounds per square inch of pressure, and you get this compressed charcoal. It is much darker. It penetrates the paper more. It's harder to get out of the paper, but there's no real other way to get really rich darks than using your compressed charcoal. I also have, they make charcoal and pencils. These are just compressed charcoal pencils. One is a hard and the other is a medium, and you'll also have soft as well. And they're really great for getting really controlled passages. This is just a different make of charcoal pencil. That's kind of fun to play with. It has this old peel sort of way to take it off. This is just paper, and you peel this back. The cool thing about these is that when you have charcoal and wood, the vibrations of you using this will make this squeak, eek, 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 while you start to use these. It can be kind of a little much. So these are kind of nicer because you don't get, since this is all paper on top of the charcoal, you don't get that squeaking sound. So that's the nice thing about these. When you work on toned paper, charcoal paper, you can use black and white charcoal, or any sort of paper that has a nice surface that can actually enough tooth to actually put this down. but with using white and dark charcoal, you can just get some really wonderful pieces of work by using the dark charcoal and the white charcoal, and then you use the dark of the paper to kind of be that middle area. Well, this has been Kevin McCain with Kevin McCain Studios on drawing materials and their different types. You can learn more about my classes and my workshops, and also a little bit about my artwork and what I've done and my illustration work at kevinmccainstudios.com. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.